I'm Samima and welcome to the Real Talk Round Table. Now, in honor of Father's Day, today's episode will be dedicated to all the fathers out there. We'll be honoring fatherhood, paternal bonds, and the influence of fathers in society. Welcome to the show.
Before I lost my job, there's a time she was working with a bad company. So I think the influence on her by those friends really impacted her life. So there's a time she was unfaithful.
So by the time the kids were born, Greg and I had kind of, fallen off. So he was in Germany, I was here in Kenya. And so, through that time, so there wasn't that, father-child relationship. Of course, they couldn't communicate, with him.
The trust and the love has to be there.
Yeah.
They have to see you as a father and not just as somebody who is somehow now in their lives.
My dad is our is our coach. In everything that we do, he always supports us. Our dad is a very strict kind of father.
There are a lot of guys who walk away from their families because they believe they can't be there physically. But you don't have to always be there physically. Sometimes life happens, work happens. You have to be somewhere else for an extended period of time. And it's not ideal, but it's worse to just walk away and just take your identity away from your children.
Welcome to the round table. Now, today for the entire hour on this episode, we are celebrating fathers. So get on that SMS line on your screen. Let me know how you're going to be celebrating your father this Father's Day. What does your father mean to you? What's the impact he's had on your life? Do let me know via the SMS line on your screen. Now, my first guest is Dennis Solomon. Dennis is a father to 3 kids, and his experience with fatherhood is something that I hope will inspire you. Dennis, welcome to the round table.
Thank you.
So you're a father of 3 kids. Tell us about your children.
I have a daughter and 2 sons. My daughter is 19 years. She completed her Form 4 just the other day. I have my second born is a son. He's called David. He's in Form 3. The third born is called Samuel. He's in class 5.
Okay.
Yes.
So very interesting. You have 2 teenagers and 1 soon-to-be teenager.
Yes.
And you're a single dad.
Yes.
So tell us how it came to be that now you're a single dad raising 3 kids by yourself.
Okay, that journey began in 2011. I was working in a dental lab. So my boss decided to change his career. So that's how I lost my job. Then 1 month after that, my wife went away. I tried to reach out to her, asking her to come back, telling her that things will be okay, but she didn't. She told me she wants to be somewhere else. So I tried to follow up on her, but for around 3 years. I could call her, try to persuade her to come back to us, but she refused.
So how long had you been married at the point when now she left the home?
We were married. It was about 9.5 years.
And you did a proper church wedding and everything?
No, we wanted to do the church wedding at our 10th anniversary.
Okay.
So we went for the premarital counseling in our church, and we were just waiting now for the 10th anniversary so that we could now do the church wedding.
So when she left the home, she left you and she left the 3 children behind as well?
Yes. In fact, that day when she left, I had called her. I asked her what she had cooked. We were with my second born son. We were somewhere, and then one of our relatives had a child, so the child was named after her. So I was jovial. I was just jovial, and I was looking forward to meeting her in the evening. So when I went at home, that's when now my daughter told me that she saw the mom pick a few clothes and put in a polythene bag, and then she told her that she's coming. But when now my child told me that, I knew. There's a time she had seen a dream whereby she saw a polythene bag outside the home.
Now, your daughter had a dream.
No, my
Your
wife.
Okay.
And then she asked me in Kiswahili, kwani unataka kuniwacha? I told her, no, how can I leave you? So I knew maybe there is something. And I told her, if you see such a dream, you should pray about it so that it does not happen. So I don't know whether she managed to pray. And then during that time, before I lost my job, there's a time she was working with a bad company. So I think the influence on her by those friends really impacted her life. So there's a time she was unfaithful, and I forgave her. And then she continued being unfaithful. I would forgive her, and that thing was very heavy on me.
And why was it important for you to forgive her each and every time that she disrespected your relationship, she disrespected the family that you're trying to build?
As a Christian, I believed we could work on things out. And just like in the premarital counseling sessions, we were being taught about forgiving one another, kuvumiliana. So I really was trying my best to save my marriage.
And what about now when it came to the parenting? Were you guys connected on that front? What was her relationship with the children like at that point?
We were doing fine. She was good with the children. When I was working, we were very okay.
Was she working when you were working?
No, she was a housewife, but occasionally she would get temporary places to work. Sometimes she would go because she was a beautician.
So you were the primary breadwinner?
Yeah, I was the primary breadwinner.
Okay, so now when you say that she made the decision to leave the home, and it took you 3 years of trying to negotiate with her, convince her to come back. So what was it like during these 3 years? Because now you're coming from a point where you had a wife, you know, who was, as you said, majorly a stay-at-home mom, but now you are jobless. There are 3 children that you now have to take care of full-time. How did you handle that?
It was a very tough time. It was a really tough time. And I just knew I had a tough journey in front of me because my children were very young. My youngest was 2 years old. And then I didn't have a job, so balancing the two. I'm a single father now, and I don't have a job. My children are very young. There are times they would wake up, especially the young one, he would say, I want mommy, nataka mom, mama ako wapi. It used to hurt.
And so how were you able to get past that? Because I can imagine, like you're saying, it must not have been easy for the kids. It must not have been easy for you. And maybe just to celebrate you, because that's what this show is about, celebrating you as a father. Most men would have opted perhaps to take these children kuwapeleka kwa mama yao nyumbani, but you stuck it through. So what was your main motivation behind that?
Okay, I decided I will face this challenge head on. And I decided I will pray about it. I will be with people who, like my mom or my sisters, family, and close friends. They were there for me, encouraging me, praying with me.
So you really tried first to fix the marriage, make the marriage work.
Yeah.
And then now when she was done with the marriage and relationship, you were trying to salvage her relationship with the children.
Yeah.
So beyond those 3 years and even to date, to what extent is she in the children's lives?
Okay, there's a time we tried, even because she cut off the communication
With you and with the kids?
with me and with the kids. She changed the line so that I could not call her or text her. So we tried to search through the media, you know, the social media, the Facebook, to search whether she's there. So one day my daughter told me that she will try and search her, and I wished her well. So she had one of the contacts was a relative to her, so God enabled her to text that lady and ask a few questions, and that's how now she got the phone number to her auntie.
And this is after several years.
Yeah,
How
this
many
is
years?
about 2 or 3 years back.
And by that time, how many years had she been away from the children and yourself?
About 6 or 7 years.
So 6 or 7 years, zero contact with the kids.
Yeah.
And now the kids are the ones who are going out of their way to look for their mother.
Yeah.
And for you as a father, you supported this.
Yeah, because if they wanted to access their mother, it was okay. It was okay because it's good for them to communicate with the mom, even if we are not together. So eventually, she was able to get the phone, her mom's phone number, and she called her. And then now she was able to arrange for a meeting. They went and they met, and they knew where she's living, the exact location where she was staying. And then she went with the younger brother. And in fact, when she gave the phone to my younger son, he was very emotional.
After the kids made the attempt now, you're saying 3 years back, to reach out to her, was she cooperative? Was she interested in now building a relationship with them?
According to my daughter and according to my sons, she wasn't happy about that, because now it's like she just wanted me to have the children and to take care of them. And there are several times that the children went there. Immediately, sometimes they would be given money to come back, maybe the fare to come back. And when maybe she had my daughter, it's because now she has a about 4-year-old.
So now your ex-wife moved on. She remarried and had another child.
Yeah, she got married and she has another child. But I don't know whether they separated, because there are several times that my children have gone there. They have not seen the man. But now the reports that they bring back is that she's dating another man. She's dating another man.
So, Dennis, you've been raising your children single-handedly now for how many years?
For those 9.5 years, I've been alone.
And I really want you to speak to other fathers out there who might find themselves in a situation similar to yours, because your story is very inspiring. In this society, a lot of the times we hear about single moms whose, the fathers have rejected the children. But now your story, when we are seeing your man, and a woman has chosen to, leave the relationship, leave the children behind. If you could talk to any man who perhaps find themselves in this situation, what would you tell them? How would you help them navigate this new role of being both dad and mom?
What I would urge them is to face this challenge head on. Things happen, and of course it is a shock, because the person whom you had a vision, you had decided that this is the woman that I love and this is the mother of my children. If that person decides to walk away, there's that time of trying to reach out, trying to reconcile. There's that period, there's that season. But if that lady has decided to move on, you just let go, because it will hurt you more. Because if she comes back and she's not there, she's not in the relationship, you'll be hurt more. Because personally, I tried, and when I tried, she would talk very nasty things over the phone. She would tell me, in fact, I was unfaithful. Nilienda kula happy. Yeah? And she would tell me, now I am married, I have this guy. She would talk all those things to hurt me even more.
Right.
So I decided, if that is what she has chosen, I decided to let it go. I decided to lay it aside.
And that protected you to be the father that you needed to be now to raise those children.
Yes, that now gave me, I realized now, no matter what I did, she was not there for me. And in fact, she initially, when we began those talks, she told me to forgive her, which I did. I forgave her because I could not continue with carrying her and having bitterness in my spirit, bitterness in my heart. So I didn't want to have ulcers, and I didn't want to have issues with my body. You know, there was a time I used to have ulcers when I was a young boy. So I just, it was a hard time letting go, but I prayed and I asked God to strengthen me, and I was able to release her. I was able to heal. In fact, when I forgave her, because even she would quote the Bible and, you know, saying, the Bible says we forgive one another and all that. So I forgave her. And I wished her well.
When we come to you, Dennis, were you able to move on after this relationship? Were you able to perhaps find another mother figure for your children? What was that department like for you when it came to dating?
Okay, it was quite difficult because when you try to date and you have children, people have all manner of imaginations and thoughts. But I used to give them the story, how it was. I was working, and then all of a sudden I'm told their kazi imeisha. So some rejected me because I had children. In fact, there's that one lady, she told me she's into me, but she's not into the children.
Right.
So,
but you are resolute about raising your children and staying with your children.
Yeah.
Which is why today we are celebrating you as a father. And I really hope that your story has inspired other fathers out there who might find themselves, you know, being forced into a situation where they have to be both father and mother and still sticking it through being there for those children. I have a small gift for you here. So this is just something to say thank you to you for being, you know, an amazing dad to your kids. It's a wallet from Karibu, Kenya. And I just want to invite you, if you're watching and you want to celebrate your father, get on that SMS line right now. I might actually just have a nice wallet to give out to you from Karibu so that you can actually celebrate your dad and that special man who has actually filled in the shoes of a father in your life. So get on that SMS line. But right now it's time for a very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the round table. Now, today we are celebrating fathers, and like you saw earlier, I have some goodies. So if you want to celebrate your dad or someone who has stepped into that father figure role in your life, get on that SMS line. Let me know the impact they've had on your life. And of course, you stand the chance to walk away with a special gift for your special person who could be your dad or someone who stepped up to the plate, because that is the society that we live in, guys. Now, let me just introduce my expert for the day, Mr. Mongera Mutiga. Mongera, welcome to the round table.
Thank
so
you.
Earlier on, we had Dennis's story, and I feel like his story will touch so many of my viewers, because in this society, like I said earlier, we're very used to having women being single moms. And a lot of the times, when we see men being single dads, it's either they're widowers, but it's very rare to have a man come out and say, you know what, my wife left me, my wife left the kids, my wife wants nothing to do with the kids. And that's a very, very heavy trauma experience, not just for the man, but even for the children. So now, in your experience as a father, what advice could you give now from a point of making sure that those kids' mental health is taken care of, that they don't grow up having mother wounds, and at the same time, when a father is especially raising a girl, because it might be easier to raise boys, but now when there's a daughter in the mix, it makes it a bit more complicated. Mongera.
Yeah, thanks, Tamima. I want to commend Dennis. I think he's admirable among men. There are not very many men who would step up and do what he did. So I really commend him. And I know the children are going to be so much better off because of his presence. I think the presence of a father, and an involved father at that, in the lives of children is amazing. I think it's more important for him to shield his children from the toxicity that seems to be coming through with the relationship between him and their mother. I think a lot of relationships that don't work out end up spilling over to the children, and people start to fight and use the children against each other, which is really toxic. It's really a bad place to be. So I would say it's important to shield the children. Sometimes it's better to not have their mother in their lives at all if that presence is going to be detrimental to their mental health. I think it's important, now that he has a daughter, to try and expose her as much as possible to maybe a mother figure or somebody who is older, an older woman, maybe one of his sisters, or just somebody in his life who might be able to provide that support without, replacing their mother, because they still have a relationship with the mother. But I think it's important to remove children from a toxic environment. Whatever drama or issues are happening within your relationship, you should shield the children from that, because it doesn't help them in the long run. But ultimately, families benefit from both parents having a father and a mother in place. And I really commend Dennis for what he's doing.
For sure. Thank you so much for that, Mongera. Now, let me introduce my next guest. I have Greg and Shiko Twis. So they'll be sharing with us what Greg's unique fatherhood experience has been like, because today, guys, we are celebrating fatherhood in all its many forms. It's never a straight line. Different people come to become fathers in different ways, and that experience is very different for each man. But the number one thing is, if a man remains committed to being present, loving those children, without a doubt, they deserve to be celebrated. So, Greg, welcome to the show. Shiro, welcome to the show.
Thank
Shiro
you.
Twist.
Yes.
It's my stage name. But now, okay. So, you have a very interesting experience when it comes to fatherhood. And obviously, for anyone who's been on social media, you guys are not strangers. I'm sure they know your story. You've done interviews before. But today, I want us to really focus on the fatherhood aspect of it. Because, Greg, you say that you have 5 kids in total.
Yes.
So 3 from a previous relationship.
Marriage, yes.
Previous marriage, and now 2 by your current wife.
Yes.
Which is now twins.
Yes.
And you also have twins from your earlier
that's
relationship.
Right. Yes, I do. Yes,
okay,
I do.
so twins are definitely from him, not from your side of the family.
We also have twins in the family. Like both my parents, like they are twins all over. So I think it's both our genes, probably.
Yes.
Okay. So if you guys got pregnant a second time, it might actually be double.
Yeah.
Even now triplets or quadruplets.
Yeah, that's why we are not trying to go there.
I just saw a woman in the news recently. She gave birth to 10 kids. Did you see that?
Yeah, I
Yes.
saw it.
So
I saw
you
it.
better be,
I know. Yeah, we are working on it. We are being careful.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you say that fatherhood has been a very interesting journey for you. Maybe let's start off from, what does fatherhood mean to you?
That's a surprising question, I think. I think you can only really say what it means to you by through your experience of living it, I don't think any man really is prepared to be a father. I don't think any person is prepared to be a father or mother, but the mother is a bit better prepared because, she has the bun in the oven for 9 months.
Fair enough.
But I think for the father, I think you grow into what it means to you, it's an opportunity to, of course, to love somebody more than yourself, let's say, or outside of yourself, to pass certain things on to them, to the knowledge you have, the experiences you have, your worldview, the way in which you see things. It's a lot of things rolled into one, but it's enriched if it's done with a partner. I think your previous guest was speaking about the troubles that he went through in his life. I think fatherhood is ideally not divorced from parenthood, that 2 are involved.
For sure. And how would you describe your relationship with your children?
Which children? The ones
All your children.
Well, the relationships are a bit different, of course, because my children in Germany are adults now, and they've only really known German culture, although they have travelled very extensively through the world. But they are very, very European in their outlook, of course. So here, my experience with Adiel and Yaniva, our children, is slightly different because I have to, or have had to, get used to, let's say, Kenyan society, which is quite different in many ways, and of course they have both aspects. They have a Kenyan side to them, and they have
their mom.
From their mom, and more now coming this kind of European side from me, but the experience with them, well, it's a wonderful experience.
So maybe let's talk about your 3 oldest kids for starters, because you're on this side of the world, and I kind of feel like in a pandemic world, it's a very valid question.
Yeah.
So then how do you father when you're literally on a different continent with your kids? How do you keep that bond strong?
Yeah, well, that is very difficult, actually. Especially, you know, I wanted recently to perhaps fly to the UK, but if I go there, I'll have to go into quarantine for 10 days, just to, and pay for it myself to boot. So it's, you know, it's WhatsApp, it's video conferencing, it's phone calls and what have you. And of course, they're just adults now. They're 21 and 19. So of course they've flown the nest as well back home, and they're off to university, and they do all the things which kids at that age do. So mum and dad aren't quite as important at that, or they think that mum and dad aren't quite as important.
So you pretty much have to be very intentional about making the time, connecting with them, you know, via all these tools that are now available with us.
Yes.
Okay, then let's come to your youngest too, because your parenting, your fatherhood journey has been a very unique one. You say that early on, you actually were not really as present as you'd have loved to be in the boy's life. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Yeah. So when the kids were born, by the time that was directed to me.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So by the time the kids were born, Greg and I had kind of, you know, fallen off. So he was in Germany, I was here in Kenya. And so, yeah, through that time, so there wasn't that, you know, father-child relationship. Of course, they couldn't communicate, you know, with him. You know, their first language is Swahili, because at the time, you know, we were raising
You
them.
here, you in Kenya,
Yeah.
Do you speak German, by the way?
No, I don't speak German, but that's Greg's second language, right?
Yes.
Yeah, his first is British, is English, yeah. So anyway, so throughout that time, when Greg was not, you know, yet in the picture, it was, you know, my dad and my brother playing the father role, you know, because they were physically present, you know.
So this, you say, was literally when the boys were between the ages of?
Between 0 and 3.
0 and 3 years.
Yes.
And why did Greg have to be away?
Okay, at first, like, Greg, why did you have to be away at first,
Well,
like the first 3 years?
When I first met Shiro, my kids back in Germany were much younger, and I wasn't planning on moving to Kenya. I had responsibilities back home, so I used to kind of move yo-yo between Kenya and Germany. So I would spend 3 months in Kenya, 3 months in Germany, 3 months there. And just at that time that I'd met Mary, it was financially not feasible for me to come over as often in those first 3 years. The pregnancy was not planned, which is not to mean it wasn't wanted, but it wasn't planned, so it took us both a little by surprise. So we had that 3-year period where everything was a bit unsure, especially because I did have responsibilities back home to my kids there who were not yet adults.
And maybe now to you as the mother to his now youngest twin boys, during that period, how did you at least try to make sure that even though he couldn't be there physically, that father bond was still being, you know, nurtured?
Yeah. Okay, so throughout the time, like throughout the 3 years, yeah? So let's say when they turned 2, so I would show them pictures of Greg. So they knew who Greg was. They knew, you know, our dad is in Germany. And at that time, they knew he was working. That's why, you know, he couldn't come to be here. You know, because at that age, that's when they start understanding, you know, every other kid is calling daddy, daddy. They are playing football. They're riding bikes with daddy, you know, but they don't have a father. But I'm very glad, like I would say, for my, you know, dad to step in and do all those things when Greg wasn't available. So it was easier for me, I would say, you know. So it was, I can't say that, of course I would have, I mean, I was wishing Greg was there. You know, every mother wishes.
But life happens.
It happens, and it's okay. Like, if it turns out that way, I mean, it's fine, and it should turn out okay.
And you know what I love, because you see, this is a very unique story right here. But what I love is that looking at the two of you as a couple, it could only work because you're on the same page.
True.
You each communicated with each other around,
Yeah.
this is where I'm at, this is what I need. And again, for you, we have to applaud you, because in a lot of ways you did step up. You
Yeah.
did support him in his journey
Yeah.
as a father, and especially now with your 2 boys.
Yes.
So finally then he decides to make the move and comes to Kenya
True.
for a longer period.
Yeah.
And you say at that point it was very different bonding with the boys when you're, based overseas versus now being here fully and present in their house.
Yes.
So talk to us about that experience. How do you then now sort of like, I don't want to say it's reconnection,
Yeah.
but I kind of feel like it's how then do you build up on the bond that was already in
Yes.
existence?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's slow. I think you have to take it carefully. I don't think you should rush into it like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
Right.
So at the beginning, I used to speak to Shiro all the time about, can I say this to them? Should I say that to them? Or maybe you should do it, because I didn't
Yeah.
want to step on Shiro's toes either, because
Yeah.
she'd been doing so much of the work when I was gone.
Yeah.
But you build that up very, very gradually, and that has built up now, so that really they accept me totally now,
Yeah.
and also as an authority figure.
Yeah.
Although I don't see my role necessarily as a strong authority figure. I've never seen it that way.
So
But-
she's more of the disciplinarian, right?
no, well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. They tend to jump more when they hear my voice than when they hear
Yeah.
Shiro's.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
but they accept, and that's the point.
Yeah.
So I think it is important for anyone out there who might be in a similar situation to me,
Yeah.
and not to rush into it, too quickly, but very, very slowly to build up that relationship. Because the trust has to be there first. The trust and the love has to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to see you as a father and not just as somebody who is somehow now in their lives.
Right.
Even though they'd seen pictures, and of course I'd seen them. I'd been with them before as well. I had visited and been with them for short periods.
Yeah.
But this is, I gave up everything in Germany. I gave up my house, everything, and decided to live in Kenya so that we could be a family, because I was luckily in the position to say, okay, I can retire a little early now. My kids back home are adults.
Older now, yeah.
They've all flown the nest. So yeah, it's a gradual thing, and it's a learning thing for me as much for the kids, probably.
Yeah.
And how then would you describe your relationship today with your 2 youngest boys?
Oh, I think it's very good. I think it's very healthy. I think I think they enjoy having me. I think now they really enjoy having me, to the point where if I wasn't there, it would be a real tragedy for them, I think. So and vice versa. So it's a very good, loving relationship. Yeah.
And I'm sure Shiro enjoys it now, having you
I
here.
love it. I love it. I wouldn't want to have it any other way.
She likes me for the videos we make. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me just catch up with Mungara. Mungara, so you've been listening in on their wonderful story and their unique fatherhood experience, and I feel like this is also an important one that we must recognize, that sometimes fatherhood means that you may not be able to always be there, physically, but still what we're learning from Greg's story is that even if you're not there physically, it's the intentionality of still being a part of your children's lives. So what advice would you give to men and fathers who are struggling with this?
Yeah, a big part of the fatherhood experience is identity, that you are identified with this man. This man is my dad, and I know him, and I know who he is. He might not be here physically, but he's my dad. And that's part of the identity of fatherhood that a lot of people miss out in life. So I think it's amazing how Greg and Shiro have been able to maintain that identity for their children, which is very powerful. Research shows that a lot of children, a lot of people grow up lacking that identity, and that messes them up psychologically.
And that's what they call the father wounds, because you feel abandoned, you feel unloved,
Yep.
you feel like you're unworthy, incompetent.
Yeah, and I would advise anybody who's not able to be physically present with their children to make the effort. Go out of your way to make sure that you can reach them, that they know who you are, that they take your name, that they know that they identify with you as their dad, because that is very powerful, even if you're not able to be there. There are a lot of guys who walk away from their families because they believe they can't be there physically. But you don't have to always be there physically. Sometimes life happens, work happens. You have to be somewhere else for an extended period of time, and it's not ideal. but it's worse to just walk away and just take your identity away from your children. So be there as much as you can, and if you can't, make sure that your children know who their father is.
Okay, and of course, also just to also appreciate the role that mothers do play, because with Shiro, you were very integral in making sure that that bond was able to grow with time until the point where today he says that you can't imagine not having him around.
Oh, no.
Okay, so I have gifts for you, and first off, I have a gift for Greg. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, thank you very
Right.
much.
Father's
Yeah.
And as you were talking, and I keep saying this the entire show, that I have gifts, I'm giving out gifts, and not just to biological dads, but also if you have a man in your life who stepped up.
Yeah.
Because we have to be honest, that is a society we are living in, where so many men have to step up and fill in the shoes of men who perhaps were not ready for the responsibility.
Yeah.
So your dad, you kept saying, when Greg was away,
Yeah.
my dad. So
Yes.
this is for your dad.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you guys get on that SMS line. Let me know the men that you're celebrating this Father's Day. But right now, it's time for a very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the round table. So today we are definitely celebrating fatherhood, celebrating fathers, so many unique stories of fatherhood. So my final guest on today's episode, I have twins on set and their amazing dad. So Mr. Alan Gadecha and his two twin girls, Stacy and Tracy. Welcome to the round table.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So anytime I have twins on here, I always try to tell the difference. I'm going to give you guys a challenge. Kama unaweza enda kwa SMS uniambie ile tofauti utaona katikati ya Stacy na Tracy. Now let's jump right into it. So you guys are just 18.
Yeah.
Just start for your KCSE exams.
Yes.
And so you're father of 3 kids.
Yes.
With firstborn, the pair of girls we are
Yes.
seeing on here, and then
And a
kuna
boy.
mwingine.
Yes, a boy.
So what does fatherhood mean to you, Alan?
Fatherhood is a chance as a man to be able to take care of a God-given privilege of raising, taking care, and also mentoring a child to adulthood, to be a person that child would want to be in future.
Okay.
Yes.
And let me ask the girls, what does your dad mean to you?
Our dad means so much. He's a mentor to us, and he's like a guide. He guides us. He gives us morals, and the core values that he has taught us since we were children is what we are today.
Okay. And Stacy, how would you describe your relationship with dad?
Okay, I would say that our dad is our is our coach in everything that we do. He always supports us. Our dad is a very strict kind of father. He
But
will
playful?
always,
I can see the smiles you guys
Yeah.
are exchanging there.
yeah, he'll always be there for us in everything that we do. He always correct us when needed. He will always stand for us when we are troubled, and I really, really appreciate our dad.
Okay. So obviously, I can imagine being a father to multiples is very unique. A lot of the times on this table, I'll talk to the mothers. So I just want to hear your perspective as a dad when you discovered A, you were going to have twins, and B, what that experience has been like, specifically raising these two wonderful young women.
Okay. At first, when we realized that we are expecting twins, although we didn't know the gender, at first we were shocked as a couple.
So when you say you didn't know the gender, you went
Yes.
all the way till 9 months.
Yes.
Hamukuwa mnajua kama ni wasichana ama ni vijana?
We did the scan, I think, after a couple of months,
Right.
and the doctor was able to identify their twins, but couldn't tell the sex.
Because of the position.
Yes, because of the position. So we had to, over time, we were able to understand and also internalize that we are expecting twins, and we had to start planning, and this is where now we started buying stuff for, we call it unisex,
Right.
just
So,
in case.
yeah. Because it could have been
Yes.
boys, it could have been girls.
Yes, yes. So after delivery and identifying the sex, that is now when we started being more skewed to girls in buying the stuffs. At first, there was crisis in identification because they had to stay with the hospital
So
tag.
the crisis that I had when I met them.
Precisely.
So
And
you had it.
Yeah, from onset at hospital, they had a tag that had their names, and they had to stay with that tag for a couple of weeks even after leaving the hospital. But over time, we were able to identify some features, some voices as they cry. She had a deeper voice, she had a softer voice, and we could be able to tell even when they are crying. So from now, that tender age infant to going to school, the first day in school, actually it was quite interesting. You know, buying the stuff, you know,
Because
fitting.
now you're buying everything double.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
war double, toys double, uniform double, school fees double,
bikes double.
bikes double.
Yes, even paying school fees was
Yeah.
double, and everything around the maintenance. But after that first day, we were able to identify something that was unique about them in terms that they were able to tell the stories that the usual stuff that kids tell when they are coming back from school, and we could realize that she had more stories. I myself, she had more stories, and over time we could be able to know that they had that. They really wanted to do something to do with acting, because they would tell me, Dad, at a very tender age, Dad, I want to be like, you know. And you could see her trying to imitate some of the stuff that she was seeing.
Right, so in case anyone's
Yes.
watching and you're looking for twin female actresses, here they are. Hit me up.
So
Thank you.
from point of going through primary school, high school, and now transition to adulthood, no, to teenage, that was quite also an experience. And now when we are now trying to become young adults,
Yeah.
the kind of assurance that as a father you have to give them, validating and telling them that what as a parent they really had to hear, and of course as they has mentioned, guiding them, and also but the most important thing was to let them realize that they have to be or to have to be their own persons.
So now that's unique to raising multiples.
Yes.
Because the world sees them as a pair,
Yes.
literally the same person. But for
Yes.
you as a parent,
Yes.
it was important to carve out the different personalities and encourage them to each be themselves.
Yes.
So I want to understand from you, and again, because we're here to celebrate you today, Alan.
Thank you.
And I can imagine for most people when they find out they're having a child, but for you, your first pregnancy ended up being, twins.
Yes.
Which could be a lot. And listening to you talk about your journey with fatherhood, and not just with the girls, because you also have a third child.
Yes.
Your second born.
Yes.
So you have a son.
Second
But-
delivery.
Yes, second delivery. But just trying to understand for you as a man, because I'm sensing some very deep intentionality towards being present, towards making sure that you build a bond with your kids. And maybe you can just talk to men, because it may look easy seeing you sitting up here with girls who look like they adore you, they look up to you, but how do you get this? This relationship with your daughters, and I can imagine it's the same thing also with your son.
Yes. Tamima, there is what we call being a responsible person, and most fathers actually are. I wouldn't want to pinpoint specific cases or maybe skew toward unavailability. Responsibility has two aspects. There has the provision and has the accountability.
And you talked about provision, because
Yes.
with twins, provision there now is double.
Yes.
When you say you have 3 kids,
Yes.
wa kwanza unaweza kuwa naye upange, lakini twins double venye tulisema kila kitu ni double.
Kila kitu.
So provision, you had to step up as a man.
Yes. And other than now provision, and you find that most fathers, once they provide, they step
They
up.
think that's it.
That is it. But after that, it is responsibility is end to end. And as I mentioned, provision cannot be complete without accountability. If, for example, I'm to take a school fees payment, for example, once a father maybe pays the school fees, pays the transport, pays the meal, they think that is it.
They disappear.
They disappear.
Until term 2 or term 3.
Yes. But after that, you need to seek what is happening to the provision that I'm making. Is this kid schooling well? What is the relationship that they have in school? What relationship do you have with the school and specifically the class teacher? How after that do you now take it to the next level? Is this, once now you realize that the kid is able to realize that you are able to do that, and maybe you look at the performance, do you reward? Because once now we leave that to the mother, for example, the issue of indiscipline now checks in. And you find that as a father, when your child realizes that you're interacting with the school, and especially the school teacher, I mean the class teacher, they will style up and they will be quite disciplined.
Is that true, guys? Did you guys have to style up because dad is watching?
And that bond, and especially when their school activities, are you available? Are you with them? And that is what amount to accountability. So you find it is not just a one-off function. It must continue to the end. The other thing is the issue of discipline. Once your kids realizes that you have the aspect of inculcating discipline, and especially respecting the elders and people in authority, and especially teachers, because you find the problem you're having with, even in our marriages, is that once you've stayed with somebody for so long, we call it streetwise uzoeano mnazoeana. And once a child stays with a teacher for long, they tend to have that disrespect. But when a child realizes that you must respect those in authority, teachers, maybe your church leaders and all that, and people who are older than you, you'll find you'll have very, very easy time with them, and it becomes easy to correct them. Once you tell them, we are not going to go this route, this is the route we are following, you find that kind of also bring them closer to you, and you'll bond more.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll hear from the girls one last time, because if there's one thing, this far, because you guys are just 18, you have the rest of your lives ahead of you, but to each of you individually, what's that one thing that you're most grateful to your dad for? Tracy.
For me, I'm most grateful to my dad because he talks to us a lot. And he gives us a lot of encouragement and motivates us never to give up. He usually tells us this thing that we should never limit ourselves, and that we should always strive to be who we want to be. So thank you, Dad, for always motivating us and encouraging us not to give up.
And your best memory with your dad? It's okay. The more embarrassing, the better.
I think the best moments with my dad is when we just sit down watching TV, especially...
What's his favorite TV show? Real Talk with Tanima?
He mostly loves when we watch Mr. Bean shows. And especially when we sit with him, we laugh together. I think that's the best moments.
And you, Stacey, what are you grateful to your dad for?
Okay, I would say that, Dad, I'm very grateful for you. First, because of being our dad and being real with us and always encouraging us and being very supportive, especially that time when we started a YouTube channel. You were very supportive. We actually hid that from you, but
when he found out, because Dad knows everything.
But when he found out, he was very happy for us. He encouraged us. He told us that we should go for it, that we should never give up, and I'm very, very thankful for that. Thank you so much.
And your best memory?
Okay, best memories is when we go out for lunch together and just talk about how our week has been and laugh together and just get our stress out on him.
Okay.
That's my best memory.
So I'm going to jump very quickly to Mongera, because just watching the dynamics between this family, like it's very beautiful. You can really tell that the bond with their dad is a very special one, and it's not special because he didn't earn it. He earned it. He says he not only provides, but he's there. And listening to the girls, it's very clear that he's very intentional about spending moments with each of them. So what can fathers learn from Alan's story?
Well, I think first of all, raising teenage twin daughters is a challenge. It's a feat in itself. So kudos to Alan and to the girls. I know it's not easy to do that. I think just the intentionality and the presence is critical for many children. The question they always ask themselves is, does my father love me, and can I have my own way? And the answer to the first one is always yes. The answer has to be yes, that you always know that you're loved by your father. And the answer to the second is no. You can't always have your own way. And I kind of see it in the relationship that we've just seen here with the Gadeshas, that there's a level of structure and order in the family that children really thrive in. Children thrive in structure and in order. So I commend them for what they've been able to do so far. I think it's important that men realize their role in their daughters' lives is critical. For many men, they walk away and say, you know what, that's a girl, let the mother deal with those things. Those are women's issues, so to speak. But I think the role of a father is critical up to any age. You'll always be your father's little girl, no matter how old you get. So that's something that we can all learn from this family.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mongera. And of course, sitting with me throughout the show, I hope that we have definitely inspired you. Before we wind up, we have a gift for Alan. So I'll allow the girls to present the gift to their dad. And yes.
Happy Father's Day, Dad.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
thank you.
Love you so much.
that's
Thank you.
a nice
you too.
leather wallet. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it brings you abundance.
Oh,
Ukiweka
thank you.
pesa, sasa wasichana, they're 18, they're going to campus. They
Yes.
want to do vacations, for their
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, and remember that I'm giving out wallets still. So just get on that SMS line. All you had to do was tell me which person or which man in your life are you celebrating this Father's Day. It could be a biological father. It could be a man who stepped up. Get on that SMS line. We'll announce the winners on the Switch TV official pages on Facebook and on Instagram. Well, that's it from me, Tamima. As always, I do hope that I earned the privilege of your time and this show inspired you today as we celebrate fathers. Until next time, do enjoy the rest of your viewing.